Okay, seeing that it's 3:03, I'm Mike Zimmerman. I'm the city rep for the Joint Review Board, and I would call this June 22nd meeting to order at 3:03. And with that, I'll have Misty Dodge, our staff member, conduct a roll call.
So I'm going to say each municipality, organization of the Joint Review Board, and if you're here representing them, if you could share your name, just for the record, I would really appreciate it. So Dane County.
Chuck Hicklin.
Thank you. Madison School District.
Chris Carusi.
Thank you. Oregon School District. Seeing none. Verona School District.
Chad Weezy.
Thank you. MATC, or Madison College.
Sylvia Ramirez.
Excellent. City of Fitchburg.
Michael Zimmerman.
Excellent. And our community member.
Janelle Rice.
Excellent. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Misty. Then I would entertain a motion for approval of the Joint Review Board minutes from July 21st, 2020.
So moved.
It was by Janelle. And a second?
Second by Sylvia.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any corrections or additions, deletions? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved.
Aye.
Oh, I think we had a hand raised. Chris, was there anything you wanted to add?
No, I was just saying aye with my mic off.
Okay, minutes approved. Next up, we have consideration and appointment and/or reaffirmation of the Joint Review Board's public member. And we have Janelle Rice for consideration as our public member. And Janelle, did you want to introduce yourself and say hi to folks in your involvement?
I can certainly do that. With your approval, I'll just take 1 minute to explain my background as well. Previously, I was an alder in seat 8, District 4. And my day job is I represent a company called Autodesk. And for those that are not familiar, we work with all of the design software that general contractors, civil engineers, architects work with. And so my clients are the City of Madison, Denver Airport, etc. So this is the work that my customers do. And I think I've been in this chair as the community member for the past year.
Okay, thank you, Janelle. And I would entertain a motion for a reaffirmation of Janelle as the public member.
Moved by Sylvia.
Motion by Sylvia.
Second by Hicklin.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor of reaffirming Janelle as the public member, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Janelle, you're reaffirmed as the public member. Thank you for helping us out again and serving in that capacity. Next
My
up,
pleasure.
Next up, we have election and/or reaffirmation of the chairperson. And I would entertain nominations. And if I can offer one, I would offer Janelle Rice as the chair. Motion to offer Janelle Rice as the chair. Second? Anybody for a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second by Chuck Hicklin. Any other nominations? Seeing none, we've got a motion and a second to elect Janelle Rice as the chair of the Joint Review Board. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. And Janelle, I would turn the meeting over to you, starting with agenda item number 6.
So bear with me here. I'm kind of jumping in pretty quick. So Mike, can you step me through the first step or two on this, and then I'll go ahead and be prepared to carry this forward in, give me 5 minutes.
Sure. Yep. The next item on the agenda is review annual PE 300 reports and the performance status of 6A, which is tax incremental district number 6 and 9. They are both in the Verona area school district. So with that, I think we'll turn it over to Greg Johnson, our financial advisor from Ehlers and Associates.
Thank you, Mike. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to share my screen and I will go through each of the supplemental reports that were sent out in advance of the meeting. So we will begin with TID District number 6. Just for some background information on this district, it was created back in 2006. It is a mixed-use district. The district was amended previously back in 2013 to help facilitate some additional development and redevelopment within the district and add some additional territory. The expenditure period for this district ends on August 8th of this year. The mandatory termination date is August 8th of 2026, but the final year of increment collection is 2027. The base value of the district was about 86.8 million. The increment value, the most recent certified by the Department of Revenue, was about 138,250,000. The fund balance in the district at the end of 2020 was a little over $6 million. The current projected closure of the district based on the cash flow is 2023. The city does anticipate it will do the 1-year extension for affordable housing and housing stock improvements. So then the district's final closure would be in 2024 with that extension. Here we include kind of a map of the district in terms of kind of where it is located. In terms of kind of the shading that we have in place, the yellow area is the existing area that was part of the original TIF district off of Verona Road. And then the red area was the territory that was approved to be added to the district. So areas kind of north and south of McKee Road. In terms of some of the new value that's still estimated to occur within the district, we've worked with the city's assessment department to provide some estimates for new increment value to be constructed in the district. We've projected this in the near term. So here in the development assumptions, we show the estimated new value from net new construction from calendar year 2020 through 2022. So projecting about another 43.5 million of increment value yet to be constructed within the district. In terms of the tax increment projection, just kind of summarizing some history and then the remaining increment collection periods of the district shows that in 2021, the district was generating about 3.3 million in tax increment revenue. That's projected to increase to about 4.6 million by fiscal year 2024 based on that new construction that's still anticipated to occur within the district over the next 3 construction years. So just to kind of recap how all TIF districts work, anything that is constructed within a calendar year, so using 2021 as an example, anything constructed this calendar year would be valued as of January 1st of 2022, which will be that increment value will be used to determine how much tax increment is collected in fiscal year 2023. So there's always a 2-year lag between construction and when that tax increment is received by the city. So this just kind of shows the anticipated remaining projected increment over the remaining life of TID District number 6. In terms of the cash flow projection for the district, we have, the tax increment is the primary revenue source coming into the district. There are various intergovernmental revenues that are received as well, computer aid and personal property aid payments. So that, along with some interest earnings, comprise the revenue stream for this particular district. There is one general obligation debt issue still outstanding for this district that is callable on April 1st of 2023. The city expects that it will call that debt and pay it off early at that call date. There is a pay-as-you-go or municipal revenue obligation that was issued to Benjamin Investments as a development incentive through this district. So it is anticipated that that will also be paid off early since the district will have sufficient revenue to pay off that obligation at that time. And then we just show some other general professional service and administrative costs that are charged to the district. So we've included kind of estimates here. Want to emphasize they are estimates. They could, change up or down. But in terms of, this cash flow pro forma, in 2023 is the year that the district's anticipated to have sufficient revenue to pay off its remaining outstanding obligations. So the amount that would be distributed to all the taxing jurisdictions would be about 13.3 million. And then if the district is extended for a year for the affordable housing, that estimated increment collection in 2024 would be just shy of $4.4 million. So at the moment, the city projects the district will close in 2023. This will be evaluated as we kind of go into next fiscal year to see if there's a potential likelihood that the district may be able to close next year. But for now, the city is planning that the closure would take in place in 2023, and then the extension would be available in 2024 for the housing as allowed by statute. We also included, as required, the PE 300 forms that are filed with the Department of Revenue as required by statute, which really just kind of summarize fiscal activity within the district for calendar year 2020. So that is kind of an overview of TID District number 4. I will pause here to see if city staff has anything else they want to add on this particular district.
So just to clarify, this is to District number 6. So this is
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
one that's up by the Target area. Very successful for us. We're really excited to get this closed out, though, so that we can get that value back on the roll and get that amount that we've accumulated out to all the jurisdictions. So obviously, we have to go through the audit process and make sure that we know what that number is. So there'll be some time before we're able to write you guys the checks, but they should be coming in the next handful of years.
And I would just add a couple of exciting projects that are happening in this district, continuing to add valuation and increment. Behind Super Target, we have a resort-style high-end senior living facility that's under construction. And then behind the Hy-Vee grocery store, we have a workforce housing development that's under construction. So if you're driving by this area, you can see them building and coming out of the ground and above the other buildings that are over there. So it's really turning into a nice mixed-use development over there at Orchard Point. Then over on the north side of McKee Road, on the east side of Verona Road, the building that you see under construction just north of Saris's headquarters there, that's a 3-story vertical storage, climate-controlled security access facility over there that developer is doing. So we continue to see additional development in this TID district and some good projects continuing to move forward. Any other questions for Greg on TID number 6?
Yeah, this is Dean from Verona Area School District. Sorry, I'm a little bit late coming to that. So TID number 6, that's the Orchard Point target area there. So I believe I heard that forecasting a closure 2023-ish with a possible 1-year extension for the housing piece. So around 2024 with an audit taking place next year to see if that may be able to be pushed up, correct?
So the audit will actually take place after we close. So not quite yet.
Okay, copy that. Copy that. And does that 1-year extension impact the closeout value at all?
It impacts kind of the timing of the closure. So how that works is that essentially the district would remain open for an additional year to collect increments. So in this example, and if we go back and look at the valuation assumptions, so by fiscal year, revenue year 2024, the estimated increment value is about $181,788,000. So if the district, remains open for that affordable housing extension so that increment can be available in fiscal year 2024 to fund that program, then the increment value would then be available that next fiscal year and return to the tax rolls. So that in this example, that roughly $181,788,000 would then go to the tax rolls. And so for the using the city as an example, that would impact them for fiscal years 2025 budget. So it doesn't impact the amount of value that goes back onto the tax roll. It just impacts the timing of when that occurs.
Sure. Thanks, Greg.
We'll continue to kind of stay up to date on what the different pieces of this are, and we'll look at it every year to see if we're ready to close earlier than that, or right then, or maybe a little bit later. So that still a timing is a bit of a target and may change.
Sure.
And for everyone's benefit, the statutory deadline for the city to determine whether or not they're going to close a district is April 15th of each year. So that's the date upon which the city needs to notify the Department of Revenue if they intend to close a district.
Okay. And Mike, this TID also includes the vacant land that is to the north side of McKee and west of the quarry, correct?
It includes the land right there along, just west of Verona Road, where those lots are, where we did the Class A office building with Benjamin at the corner, and then kind of that loop between Capec and King James Way.
Okay, okay. So it's not on the north side?
Yes, it is for just west of the Verona Road Highway there, but it doesn't include the quarry on the north side of McKee Road across from Super Target. That's not in the TID district.
TID, okay, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on TID number 6? Seeing none on that one, Greg, do you want to take us into TID number 9, which is also in the Verona Area School District?
Yes, thank you, Mike. So TID District 9, just to kind of go through the history of this particular TID district, this was created back in 2015 as an industrial district. The district was amended in 2016 to add additional territory and to amend the project plan expenditures allowed within the project plan document. And then there was a second amendment that was accomplished back in 2019, also to add some additional territory and to amend the project plan expenditures again, this time to identify some eligible costs that fell within a half-mile radius of the district boundary. The expenditure period for this TID district ends on June 9th of 2030 and has a mandatory termination date of June 9th of 2035. The final year increment collection is 2036. The most recent increment value certified for this district as of January 1 of 2020 is about $48,564,000. The new increment values for all TID districts will be released in August of this year as of 1/1/2021. So we're about 2 months out from those values being certified. The year-end fund balance at the end of 2020 was a slight deficit of about $57,000. The projected closure of this district is 2036. That's really based off of the expectation that the city does expect it will make additional project cost expenditures through the district's expenditure period based on allowable projects that were identified in the project plan. So the closure, takes that into account, but certainly that could change as the district moves forward. Just some notes about some of the development of note within this district. The Promega building that falls within this district was about 85% complete as of January 1st of this year. The Sub-Zero building was about 66% complete. The race day events and Hop House were 100% complete as of the beginning of this year. And then the Promega and Sub-Zero facilities will continue construction in this construction season in 2021. So in terms of looking at the boundaries of this proposed district, you'll see here on the map kind of all of the parcels that are identified. So we have McKee Road up here to the north, South Seminole Highway on the east, and Lacey Road to the south. So the area in pink was kind of the original boundary of the district, and then the areas in yellow and blue were the amendments that were already approved for the district. So the whole red boundary represents the current full value or full territory that's included within this particular district. In terms of net new construction estimates for this district, kind of looking, near term here as well. So we have the constructed in 2020, it's estimated about 62.9 million of increment value that was constructed, primarily due to the Promega and Sub-Zero projects that were mentioned. And then in 2021, estimated that there's about 17.4 million of new increment value that is going to be under construction. So in terms of the tax increment revenue for this particular district, kind of showing the history since its creation back in 2015, and then projections of increment going forward, taking into account the estimated construction in 2020 and 2021. And then we've projected some inflation of about 0.5%. And so we're projecting the remaining increment over the 20-year life of this particular district. So based on these assumptions, the total increment collected would be almost 49.2 million. In terms of the revenues to this TIF district, similar to the city's other TIDs, the increments, the primary revenue stream. There's some other forms of intergovernmental revenue and personal property aid payments that make up the revenue stream for this particular district. In terms of expenses that have been incurred already, there was a municipal revenue obligation issued to Sub-Zero as a development incentive, and how all the MROs work is that the actual increment that is generated from their particular project is used to reimburse expenses that were incurred by the developer and agreed to within a development agreement between the city and the developer to be reimbursed through the TIF district. So here we show the estimated repayment of that incentive to Sub-Zero. There are also some incentives that are anticipated for the Promega project, separate amounts of about 5.5 million, and then another incentive estimated at about 13.8 million. So those final repayment schedules are to be determined, but they're shown here as illustrations as anticipated expenditures within the district. In the city's capital improvement plan, they've also identified some capital projects to be funded, core public infrastructure projects that would be phased in over the next several years. So we show those being financed with general obligation debt. And then the city also has another municipal revenue obligation or pay-as-you-go incentive for Supreme Structures. That was finalized back in March of this year. So we show the actual repayment schedule for that development incentive as well. So as I mentioned, all the future capital investments, these are to be determined and authorized by the Common Council, but based on the current capital improvement plan document, there is investment anticipated and phased in over the next several years. And so that is the purpose for those debt issues. And then we just show the history of some of the capital outlay expenditures that have been incurred within the district thus far for eligible project costs within this district. So, in this cash flow projection, again, we've really just projected increment value based on construction in 2020 and 2021, and then some appreciation of 0.5%. Based on those development assumptions, the estimated repayment schedules of development incentives through development agreements and the city financing public infrastructure identified in the project plan, that increment that's projected here over the next couple of years is projected to be sufficient, to cover all of these projected expenditures. But the district at this time is projected to remain open over its full maximum life in 2036. And then again, we've attached the PE 300 just for as required for this particular meeting. So again, I'll pause here to see if the city staff has anything they'd like to add for TID District number 9.
Yes, so the capital amounts that were shown in there, the bulk of that is for Lacey Road reconstruction, which is a project that we're currently working through. We have a typical cross-section approved, but haven't done much more of the design, and obviously construction bids haven't been let yet. So that number is still somewhat uncertain, but it is based on the current expected costs of that project. And then there's a couple other projects in that same area, redoing the northern part of Seminole and then also the intersection right at Seminole and Lacey. So some good infrastructure projects happening there. And then there's also just a lot of uncertainty with the values coming in on this one. So both Promega and Sub-Zero are assessed by manufacturing. The way that the TID is protected, though, is because of those MROs or the PAYGO bonds that Greg mentioned, where the payments back to those developments will be based on the taxes that they paid into the TID district. So there is uncertainty there, but the TID is protected to an extent from that uncertainty.
I would just add that the Lacey Road reconstruction is planned for 2022 for the construction. And then that will also allow us to extend the Commerce Park Drive, which has already been extended, but to actually connect it to Lacey Road in 2022. So that'll help us finish out the kind of the street network and grid over here. And we really appreciate the Joint Review Board's support of this TID district because it allowed and facilitated the expansion of two of our major employers, both Promega Corporation with their CMC manufacturing facility, which could have ended up in California if we weren't able to accommodate it here in a site here in Fitchburg, and then also to continue Sub-Zero's expansion of their campus here in Fitchburg with this engineering design center that they'll be opening in the fall. They'll have 2 million square feet under roof here in Fitchburg, and there's 1,500 employees already that are working out of their Fitchburg campus here. That's over 3 shifts, but a significant employment base over in this area. And then the MRO developer bond to Supreme Structures, that was to the master developer of the site that now has the Race Day Events headquarters and the new Hop House brew pub production facility and restaurant there. So some great projects that the support of the Joint Review Board helped us facilitate in this area to continue to grow the employment and our tax base.
Hey, Mike, this is Dean from Verona. So the Lacey Road, is that from Seminole Highway west to Fitch-Verona Road, or?
Just to the west of Fitch-Verona. It doesn't extend kind of quite to Fitch-Verona Road. That's a project that we have. There's a project identified in our CIP for, is it 2024 or 25?
Something in that ballpark.
Yeah, for the Fitch-Verona Road, kind of from Lacey Road up to the Nesbitt Road roundabout up there. So there's another project that'll be coming a few years out. But this will be for the Seminole and Lacey intersection, and then to just maybe 100, 200 feet kind of west of that Fitch-Verona Road intersection.
Did you mean east of that Fitch-Verona
I'm sorry,
Road?
east. Yeah, sorry about that. Got it.
Okay, so 2022, summer of 2022. Reason I'm asking is because, you know, we send a ton of buses over Lacey Road and up Seminole and so forth.
Yeah, I think it'll probably start as soon as we can get in the ground in the spring there. And one thing that we tried to do here, Dean, recognizing that this is a major transportation artery, originally the Seminole and Lacey intersection was going to be done 1 year, and then the reconstruction of Lacey west and east of Fitch-Verona was going to be done in a different year, and we're combining it all in just 1 year. So we're trying to minimize the traffic disruption just down to 1 year instead of having it over 2 years.
Okay, and so Public Works will be in touch with all the major players about all that and so forth, timing.
Yeah, once we have the bids and a schedule, you know, there will be communication and outreach from Public Works, you know, with constituents and stakeholders.
Okay, thanks, Mike, I appreciate that.
So my ask on this would be that we keep in mind that that particular intersection, I think might be best constructed during the summer when we don't have buses and kids coming through that area. If we could do that during the summer break, I think it will make things run significantly easier for all interested parties, including the school district, the neighbors, and the parents that are doing drop-off.
We can pass that suggestion along to Public Works as they work with the contractor.
Thank you.
So Chad, Wheezy, just, you know, in situations like this, we would work closely with Public Works, whether it's City of Verona or City of Madison, the City of Fitchburg, of course.
Questions for Greg on TID number 9? Seeing none, we will move to agenda item number 7. And Janelle, I'll turn it over to you to finish running the rest of the meeting. And we would just need a motion for that, to approve the resolution acknowledging filing of annual reports and compliance with the annual meeting requirement for the Verona School District TIDs.
And if I may, this would just be the Verona School District that would be involved in this vote.
Can I have a motion in support of Mike's comments?
Motion, anyone? Or I make the motion to approve resolution acknowledging filing of annual reports and compliance with annual meeting requirements for the Verona School District TIDs.
Can I have a second?
And Jen, just so you know, staff have typically not voted on these, so as a board member, if you could second that, that'd be great.
Then thank you. Being the newbie, I will second that. Jen Murphy from the Verona Area School District Board.
Thanks, Jen. Any discussion? Can I have a vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. I believe that we're moving on to, looks like we've got 8 on our agenda. Does that sound right to you, Greg?
Yes, we're going to start next with the Madison Metro School District TID. So we'll start with TID District number 4.
And Greg, if I can, just before we start, so for Chad and Jen, typically at this point, since now we're transitioning into MMSD, certainly can stay on board, but don't need to. So just a FYI.
And just from the city, just want to say thank you to our partners with the Verona Area School District.
Yes, thank you, Mike. And so this will be my last joint review board meeting, my last meeting with anybody in Fitchburg as VASD superintendent. So I just want to say thank you for all these years of collaboration. And Mike, you sure have been a friendly face for that entire time. I've really appreciated that. And I just wish you all the best. And thanks for all you do to support the communities that we live in and the communities that support our kids. So thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful summer. I'm going to sign off.
Well, we just want to thank you, Dean, for your many years of service and leadership in the Verona Area School District and your partnership and collaboration with the city of Fitchburg. As everybody on this meeting knows, we're unique that we're part of 3 different school districts, so we value those partnerships and the collaboration that we've had through the years with you. And we hope that you stay in contact with us, and if you're looking to be involved, we'll have plenty of opportunities that we can keep you busy.
I'm sure. We'll hope to see you around.
Okay.
Take care, everybody. Have a good summer.
We wish you the best, Dean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg, can I turn it back to you to go through our pieces that relate to the Madison School District, including in order TIDs 4, 10, and 12?
Yes, thank you. So next is TID District number 4. This district was created back in 2003. It's an industrial district. Its primary purpose was to enable the development of the Fitchburg Technology Campus and the Fitchburg Technology Campus 2, also known as Uptown. This district was amended back in 2005 and again in 2011 to add territory and change the project plan. And the projects allowed for expenditure within the district. Then the plan was amended in 2018 to include projects within a half-mile radius and add some improvements for rail crossing and intersection improvements within the existing boundaries. This TID's expenditure period ended on May 27th of this year. Its mandatory termination date is May 27th of 2026, but the final year of increment collection is 2027. So the increment value in this district as of January 1 of 2020 was about over 229 million of value. The fund balance at the end of 2020 was a little over $9 million. The projected closure of the district based on the current cash flow is 2022. The city is expecting it will take advantage of the housing extension, which would have increment collected in 2023 to fund that particular program. So in terms of the kind of the history here of kind of the boundaries, so kind of off to the left is kind of the original area that was part of the technology campus back in 2003. Then you can see kind of in the we'll call it lighter red kind of area that was added back in 2005. And then we had a territory that was added back in 2011. And then there were portions of this district that were overlaid and are now part of TID district number 13. So this just kind of shows the evolution of this district since its creation. In terms of projecting future development value, again, kind of looking here at the near-term window, estimated increment value constructed in 2020 and 2021 totals about 10.5 million of new increment value based on estimates at this time. In terms of the projected tax increment or revenue to the TIF district, presently the district is generating just under 5.2 million of increment. It's projected by 2024 that could be up to, just shy of about $5.4 million. So in terms of kind of the cash flow projection, kind of similar story to the other TID districts. The revenue stream makes up the tax increment, intergovernmental revenues, and some investment income. This district does have several debt issues that are still outstanding. The 2011 bonds are anticipated to be prepaid. That's anticipated to happen this year in 2021. And then the remaining debt in 2015 that is projected to be paid off in 2022. There are also some MROs or pay-as-you-go development incentives in place for Promega and Comeka. Those are shown, and then also some cash capital expenditures that the district is funding for infrastructure improvements are being funded with cash on hand or fund balance. So here kind of illustrated, how, this is projected to unfold over the next couple of years. So, if the district closes prior to April 15th of next year, that requires the Common Council to adopt a resolution. Then a final audit would be conducted on this particular district. As of right now, the estimated payout to all the taxing jurisdictions that would be proportionally distributed is about $13.9 million. And then an additional year's worth of tax increment would be collected in 2023 to fund the housing extension. That's estimated at about $5.3 million. So I think, in terms of, staff's expectations, this is pretty much kind of in line with kind of how we see this unfolding. It's just kind of going through the final audit and finalizing the payout estimates based on the final expenditures incurred. So I'll pause here and allow city staff to make any additional comments.
Yeah, so at this point, we are really winding up this TID. So we do have a couple of those external debt issuance that we will call as soon as they're available to be called. And then the one outstanding MRO. The big question with this one is the intersection and the railroad crossing that was approved as part of the amendment number 3 to the project plan. Those contracts were signed prior to the expenditure period, but I expect construction will last over the next year or so. So the timing of the completion of that will be what really drives the timing of the closure.
I would just add on, TID number 4 here is really carried a heavy lift for us as a city here with multiple infrastructure projects helping us implement the Fitchburg Technology Neighborhood Vision and the Fitchburg Technology Campus, the U.S. Highway 14 interchange. So it's really allowed us to grow and develop the tax base and employment opportunities throughout this center part of the city. So it's been a terrific partnership with the development entities that comprise these land areas, and we've got a lot of great projects done And that's why it's a very successful tax increment district here. One project that you'll see in 2022, which is on the southwest kind of end of the map there, is Encompass Health, a physical rehabilitation hospital, is going to be breaking ground probably in spring of 2022 for a 40-bed, 40,000 square foot rehabilitation hospital in the southern end of the Fitchburg Technology Campus there. So we're continuing to see continued growth and build out in this district with various projects. So again, thanks to the Joint Review Board for support of this TID district, because we've accomplished a lot together.
Any other discussion on TID 4 before we move on to TID 10? Greg, can I have you walk us through TID 10?
Yes, thank you. So at TID 10, this district was created in 2015 as a rehabilitation district, so it has a maximum life of 27 years. The district was amended in 2018 to add some additional territory and amend the expenditure authority within the project plan. The expenditure period doesn't end until November of 2038. The mandatory termination date is in 2043. The final year of increment collection is in 2044. So in terms of the increment value as of January 1st of 2020, a little over 33 million of increment value. The fund balance at the end of fiscal year 2020 was approximately 2.8 million. Based on the current cash flow projections, the projected closure isn't until 2040. In terms of noting some of the key developments that have transpired here recently within this district, the senior Highline Apartments, which is now 100% complete. The Terrace Point Apartments was 65% complete in 2020 when construction will be completed this year. And then Park Bank is completing their construction in 2021 as well. So in terms of the map of the proposed district, that's kind of shown here on the screen. In terms of its location. So this is kind of Fish Hatchery Road, which kind of runs kind of straight through the heart of this particular district. Just to kind of look at some of the crossroads, because Post Road is located here. And then to the north is Greenway Cross at the northern boundary of this particular district. So one of the main projects that has been undertaken, of course, is kind of the reconstruction of Fitch Hatchery Road. Portions of that project were TID eligible, and portions of the project were non-TID eligible and funded directly by the city. So portions of that project were financed over the course of the past 2 years. So in terms of looking at the estimates for net new construction, kind of in the near term, construction year 2020 and 2021, we're looking at a total of about 25.8 million of net new construction or increment value generated within the district. When I go through the cash flow projection, which kind of includes existing debt service and projected future expenditures, really the amount of additional increment value that's needed to support the cash flow as illustrated is about another 6.5 million of value constructed between 2022 and 2023. So being conservative and not showing any new construction beyond that point, just trying to kind of focus here on projects underway and what's needed to kind of support project costs over the next several construction seasons. So in terms of the tax increment revenue projection, this just kind of shows the history since the inception of the district and what's projected over the 27-year life of the district. So again, we're just kind of projecting new increment value, what's estimated in 2020 and 2021, and then what's needed to support the cash flow in 2022 and 2023. So we're looking at about 33.9 million of tax increment revenue projected within this district over its 27-year life. So in terms of the cash flow projection, really the primary revenue into this district has been the TIF revenue, and then the proceeds from long-term borrowing to fund portions of the Fitch Hatchery Road project. And then so that's the revenue stream to the district. In terms of expenditures, There's a MRO or pay-as-you-go obligation to one of the developers within the district. So we show the projected payments out on that schedule. Again, it works similar to all the other municipal revenue obligations. It's paid directly from the increment generated by that particular project. The city financed some of the TID 10 project costs, mainly Fitch Hatchery Road, portions of that in 2019. So the debt service payment that's attributable to TID 10 is shown here as an expense. And then another municipal revenue obligation was for the development on Fitch Hatchery Road, 301 Fitch Hatch. So the estimated repayment schedule for that $3.5 million incentive is shown here as a planned expenditure as well. And then last year, at the end of 2020, the city financed the balance of the TID 10 Fitch Hatchery Road projects. So the debt service is shown here for repayment over the remaining life of the district. And so really most of the expenditures that have been incurred are capital outlay, which has been offset largely by the borrowed proceeds from the two financings in 2019 and 2020. So again, kind of based off of the existing debt profile, existing and planned development incentives, and then kind of additional increment value needed over the next several years to support the cash flow. At the present time, the district's projected to close in 2040. But as we've been discussing, there's still a fair amount of time left on this district. There may be other project costs that the city may choose to support. But the city has been very diligent about only incurring those project cost expenses with a reasonable expectation that the increment value that's happening in pace with those investments can support the debt service costs. So that's kind of an overview of TID District 10. I'll allow city staff to provide any other comments.
Yes, so TID 10 is still the one that has a little bit of risk there. As Greg mentioned, we need another 6.5 million of value over the next couple of years to support what we've done so far. But really considering how early we are in the TID and just seeing Fish Hatchery Road redone, as a resident here, it's just exciting to see all the swift changes that are happening in that corridor. So I think it's an investment well made, and we're just acknowledging that there's a small risk, but we have a plan to address it.
And this is the older section of the city that developed when we were still a town. So this is really Fitchburg's kind of full-scale effort on redevelopment and revitalization of that corridor. And again, the new road, the northern part looks great, and they're going to be switching over the traffic to the northbound lanes on the southern end by McKee Road, I think on June 28th. So they're making a lot of good progress on the reconstruction. With the $6.5 million in additional valuation that we need to kind of allow us to cash flow with the road reconstruction, we're already working on another project in the pipeline that will probably bring us that valuation. There will be a TIF request along with it, but I think it'll make us whole as far as cash flowing just that road reconstruction. So keep your eyes out for a few Plan Commission agenda items over the next couple of months that'll bring forward that project in the North Fish Hatchery Road corridor. But we're really excited about the potential. If you've driven down this corridor recently, when you see the Park Bank building, the UW Credit Union building, the Highline Senior Apartments, and now Terrace Point, which is the mixed-use project on the former dairy and juice plant site, we're really transforming this corridor from the town of Fitchburg of yesterday to the city of Fitchburg of today. So it's exciting, and we've been getting a lot of positive comments from our residents and the general public, and we think this corridor has a lot of potential yet to maximize through this TID district.
Thanks for painting that picture for us. I think anybody that's driven past there recently sees wholesale changes exactly as you've mentioned here, and we will look forward to more of the same to not only improve a key access point to our city, but to really kind of make us whole with this TID. Any other discussion on TID 10?
I had a quick question. You had mentioned that there is some small risk involved with this TID, and I'm just wondering if you could say a little bit more about your plans to manage that risk, including if a TID amendment would be part of the risk management plan.
So I don't expect that to be a concern at this point. So it's that 6.5 million more of value that we need to get into the TID. And as Mike mentioned, we have another project kind of already being in discussion. So between that project and I see a lot of other potential in that corridor, I think we'll be able to address that risk through future projects and not need to do any of the donor TIDs or any of things like that based on my current assumptions.
And again, window do we have this TID just to kind of give us a sense of how long that runway is?
So really, in terms of the remaining construction years, so we're in construction year 6 out of 27 allowed. So there's a fair amount of time left here to generate increment value to recover any costs. And as staff mentioned, really probably that $6.5 million of additional increment value that's needed is certainly within the realm of potential, just given the the size of the district and the additional reinvestment that's already occurring.
So just to summarize, we really have some pretty significant things that have already happened. Significant motion in that space in the early part of this. In the scheme of things, it's a relatively small gap that we've got left for discussion's sake, let's say less than 10%, and many years to get that accomplished. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Any other questions or discussion on TID 10? Greg, can I ask you to walk us through TID 12?
Yes. So TID 12 was created back in 2018. This is also an industrial district. It has a maximum life of 20 years. The expenditure period ends in 2033. The termination date is in 2038. The final year of increment collections 2039. As of 1/1/2020, the district had generated about 41.6 million of increment value. The fund balance at the end of fiscal year 2020 was approximately $173,000. The projected cash flow shows this district is projected to close in 2038. A couple of notes about development within this particular project or district. The Promega facility in this district was 100% complete as of 2021. Still waiting for the final assessed values on that project from the Department of Revenue. And then looking at the renovation of lab and office space at the Promega building and East Sherrill Parkway, that's occurring in 2021. So still some notable development moving forward within this particular district. In terms of the boundary, so we show that here on the map. And so kind of East Sherrill Parkway kind of runs east through west through the district. And then we kind of show Research Park, several parcels kind of along that roadway as well. So this just kind of shows the general orientation of where this particular district is located. In terms of the development assumptions, in terms of what's projected, based off of, the Promega facility, again, we still have to kind of wait for the final valuation numbers to come in, estimating about, in total for the district, about 16.9 million of increment value constructed in 2020 and about 1.7 million being constructed in 2021. So in terms of the 20-year life of this district, we kind of, again, show kind of the cash flow, the increment projection, based off of those development assumptions. So just looking at, development in the near term, the district's projected to generate about 25.6 million over its 20-year life. In terms of the cash flow projection, really the main revenue stream here for this district is really just the tax increment revenue. And then as far as expenditures, planned to be incurred from Promega, there's about a 13.5 million development incentive that's, will be subject to kind of final cost certification and paid out from increment from their particular project. So we've kind of estimated kind of a repayment schedule for that development incentive. And then we just kind of show ongoing costs of the district, continue to be paid as well. So kind of based on those assumptions, again, kind of the projected closure is in 2038. So given, that, the 2020 construction, those increment values will be certified in August of this year and likely MRO payments finalized based on those final increment values, this will likely come a little more into focus over the next year. But, so far things are, there's been some strong development within the district. And really the major costs incurred has just been that pay-as-you-go incentive, which again mitigates the risk because it's only paid out based on increment generated by the project. There's been no debt issued to fund capital investment within this district by the city. So I'll pause and allow city staff to make any comments on this district.
Yeah, so as Greg already mentioned, so there is a little bit of uncertainty with this TID based on the values from manufacturing that will come with Promega, but I really see no risk with this TID because of the bulk of the costs being paid for by that MRO. And there was a little bit of cost that was going to be paid for by the TID, but even that is built into that MRO repayment schedule through the waterfall. So still some uncertainty, but really, I would say minimal, if any, risk at all to the TID at this point.
I would just say thanks to the Joint Review Board and the Madison School District on this one to help support this 3-story, 280,000 square foot building by Promega. It's now called the Kornberg Facility. It's named after a Nobel Prize winning biochemist. And this building is going to support Promega's core product and technology development in life science research, cellular and molecular biology, genetic identity, clinical diagnostic and scientific applications and training. And I think as you followed probably the news headlines as we went through the pandemic, Promega was on the front lines of the COVID testing and providing input for a lot of the test kits and even offering vaccines on their particular campus and everything here. So they're just a super partner and collaborating partner to have on our campus and here in the city of Fitchburg. And I think their future is very bright with this R&D facility for future intellectual property and innovation. So we're really excited about this project and appreciate the Joint Review Board's support to allow this facility to move forward.
Any questions or discussion?
It may be way too early to answer this question, but do you anticipate amendments to this TID down the road?
I suspect that we maybe will. So I think the boundaries are probably okay, but when we created this TID, we purposefully kept the boundaries larger, but kept the project plan specific to that particular project. So my guess is that if we do an amendment, it would be for another project that we know is coming forward, and we would amend the project plan for that particular piece.
Chris, did that answer your question?
It did, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Greg, I believe that moves us along, wrapping up TID number 12, which is moving us along, I believe, to agenda item number 9. Does that sound right to you?
Yes, I believe it's the resolution to just accept the annual reports for the TID districts 4, 10, and 12 that are in the Madison Metro School District.
Yes. So can I get in support of that?
I would make a motion to approve resolution acknowledging filing of annual reports in compliance with annual meeting requirements for the Madison School District TIDs number 4, 10, and 12.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Can I call for a vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes carry it.
I would just, Madam Chair, I would just like to thank the Madison School District. I'm not sure if they're going to kind of drop off the meeting now as we move to the Oregon School District, but thank you for your partnership and collaboration. We're getting a lot of good things done, both with new greenfield development, but also redevelopment, which is a top priority for the city as well. So thank you for your support as we continue on those efforts.
Thanks to you also for this good information.
I believe now that we are moving on to point number 10, the review of the annual PE 300 reports and performance status for both tax and increment district 11 and 13, which is in the Oregon School District. Greg, can I turn it over to you?
Yes, thank you. So for TID district number 11, here we just kind of provided the required PE 300 form. The general history of this district is that when it was created, that the original development that was anticipated within this district did not, come to fruition. So the district is still open and, remains available to facilitate other potential projects within the district. The city isn't incurring any, major expense within this district, just kind of the routine, just kind of annual costs of keeping the district open. So, there's really no cash flow or projection because there's really no development or significant increment value within the district at this time. So we just provide the PE 300 form that was prepared by the city. So I'll pause and see if there's anything else the city wants to add on this district.
Yeah, so I would just add that while there is a deficit, it's about $32,000 right now, I still consider this to be a good thing because what it's indicated of is that when that project fell through, for lack of a better phrase, the city or the TID didn't have a lot of infrastructure costs or other costs wrapped up into that already because of that MRO and PAYGO system that we generally use. So yes, there was a little bit of a loss there, but it could have been much worse if we used a TID financed structure instead.
And I would just add a recent update for the group is we have a new developer now that has an option on this property on the Fawside property. Portion of this, that's the clean fill site between Highway 14 and MM. So we had a meeting with them last week just to start to hear about their preliminary development concepts, which are mixed use. And we'll be having some future meetings with them, and hopefully they'll be coming forward later this year to formally propose their plans for that site through the Plan Commission. So we're excited to have a new development partner there. It's somebody that we've worked with before on the renovation and redevelopment of the Maple Lawn Apartments here in Fitchburg, and we think they've got some exciting plans that would allow us to move forward with the project at that site.
Any questions or discussion on that point?
Just for everyone's benefit, I quick pulled up the map so you can at least kind of see where this district is located for those that may not be familiar. So we have kind of US Highway 14 over here to the west, and then we have County Road MM kind of on the eastern side of the border of the district. So it's just about a five parcel district.
Thanks for doing that, Greg.
Sure, you're welcome. So I think last but not least is TID district number 13. So this district, oops, I think I typo here. So it's was created in 2018 as a mixed use district. Its expenditure period ends on in 2033, and then the mandatory termination date is in 2038. The final year of increment collection is in 2039. So again, in terms of kind of we kind of discussed this when we talked about some of the prior districts to district number 4. So kind of the current area of the TID boundary here for TID district number 13 is kind of these areas kind of identified here up in the hatching. So we kind of have Lacey Road again that kind of runs, kind of through this particular district. So in terms of kind of the development assumptions for this district, this district, was recently amended. And so we had projected, this last year when this was kind of brought forth, kind of the development potential within this district. And so we still kind of left some of those projected increment values within this district just to kind of show the potential that's available within this district. So as time goes on, we'll kind of scale this back to kind of look at what's actually constructed within the district. But since this district is relatively new, this just kind of illustrates some potential development opportunities that lie within this district boundary. And so in terms of the actual increment, that's being generated, so far in fiscal year 2021, only about $123,000 of increment. Again, if this kind of illustrates really the potential of that district over its life, just given the geographic area that it encompasses. So in terms of the cash flow projection, the main revenue stream is the tax increment to the district. There is one municipal revenue pay-as-you-go obligation that's in place for Phoenix Industries of about 2.1 million. The remainder of this is just illustrations of future development incentives that would be matched, to time the pace of investment and coincide with the timing of development. Again, this approach really mitigates risk to the village, or excuse me, the city, because they are not only paying out those incentives based on the actual increment generated and are not required to make up any shortfalls from what was supplied to the developer through the development agreement. So it's a way for the city to really mitigate risk within the district. So this just kind of shows the cash flow projection, the anticipated closure. But this cash flow, probably more so than the others we've discussed up until this point, is really more illustrative of kind of the potential that could occur within this district. So I think as the city's demonstrated with its other TID districts, they really time the investment and the pace of expenditures to match the actual pace of increment value being generated. So, their practices should aid this district as well in terms of, managing risk and keeping expenditures in line with revenue that's generated. So that's kind of a summary of TID 13. I'll pause and I'll see staff to make any comments.
So this is our newest TID, so there's a lot of opportunity on this one. So far, there hasn't been a lot of movement, but we do have one really great project that is funded through the MRO, so it's doing exactly what the TID was intended to do.
And as Misty mentioned, it's a very exciting project with Phoenix. And we've not only got their, that's a neutron imaging company that focuses on medical, energy, and defense applications and technology. And we not only have their defense building on the southern end, but now we've got their headquarters that they're just moving their staff into probably here in July at 50,000 square feet. And that facility is designed to be expanded and doubled in size over time. You might have seen some headlines recently that Shine Medical has acquired Phoenix. And we just had a meeting with the new representatives from Shine last week. And this is actually a good thing, both for Shine and for Phoenix. They both originated kind of from the same scientist years ago. And then they kind of were on different parallel tracks as they were doing their equity and capital raising. And now it made sense for them to come back together. So a lot of folks that all know each other from their respective companies, even husband and wives at the various facilities there. And it's going to, I think, lead to more expansion for Phoenix with some of the accelerators that they produce at our Fitchburg facility here. So we're really excited about the future and the growth for that company. The other major anchor that we're still expecting is a healthcare anchor going forward. As you may recall, both Unity Point and UW own some significant land here, kind of south of Lacey Road and south of the interchange. And those plans that they had that we were expecting to see this year were put on hold because of the pause in elective medical procedures for the healthcare companies. But they've given us every indication that we will see plans from them in the future. We're not sure exactly when yet, but we're still anticipating to have a major healthcare anchor as part of this Uptown Fitchburg and in this TID district. The other project just at the southeast corner of Sain Road and East Sherrill Parkway is kind of an old Quonset hut kind of site that Quick Trip has acquired. And that site has some contamination and is in need of rehabilitation. And so they'll be coming forward in 2022 for the construction of their new 9,000 square foot prototype C-store at that southeast corner of East Sherrill and Sain Road. So that'll kind of at least bring us the corner grocery store until we get a full-fledged grocery store in this area, which we still anticipate in the future. So we're excited about that project, and I know the neighborhood's excited about that project coming forward. So I think we've got a lot of potential over here. And with the growth along the whole Highway 14 corridor, the neighborhood on the east side of Highway 14 and MM, Terra Vesta is building out at a very brisk pace. We've got continued multifamily construction in this uptown vicinity and neighborhood. So as we fill in that trade ring demographic, we still anticipate to see future commercial development when the rooftops are there and the traffic counts are there.
Hey, Mike, if I can back up and talk about, Shine and the change in that space. Typically when we see two organizations come together, it doesn't look precisely like it did as they were separate entities. I'm assuming that we are still seeing minimally the same opportunities for Phoenix in their expansion of this location. So we see that moving forward instead of backwards.
Yes, I think the update that we got from them last week, because of various opportunities happening, I think, in both their worlds, it more likely could lead to a quicker expansion of their facilities because of the need for additional production of some of these accelerators that are needed by respective, not only Shine, but other orders that they have out there for it. So I think it bodes well for us. Employment is projected to not only, there are over 100 people now here at the Phoenix facility, and they anticipate that to grow. People that we've worked with to locate the Phoenix facility here, both Ross Radel and Evan Sengbush are, Evan is the general manager of the Phoenix facility, and then Ross is the chief technology officer. So those folks are still fully engaged and involved with the company. And we're planning hopefully a ribbon cutting now that we can start to have events again. We mentioned that to them, and so we're hoping to coordinate a ribbon cutting so folks can come out and see the facility and the investment in that building.
They do fascinating work. Any questions, discussions, additions from staff on as it relates to TID 13?
Nothing further.
I think having said that, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the resolution acknowledging the filing of the annual reports and compliance with annual requirements as it relates to point number 11 on our agenda and the Oregon School District.
I'll make the motion.
Can I have a second?
I would second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
And Madam Chair, I would just like to thank again the Oregon School District and all the Joint Review Board members for their support of these respective TID districts. I think, as you can see from not only the reports but the projects we've highlighted, together we're accomplishing a lot of great things, not only for the city of Fitchburg but for their respective districts that they represent. So a lot of employment growth and expansion of the tax base, and we wouldn't have been able to accomplish a lot of these projects without the support of all of our partners. So thank you.
Absolutely. Misty, any parting thoughts?
I do not.
Mayor, any parting thoughts?
Just echo Mike's comments and thank you to all of our partners and helping us make some really successful TIDs, and also to Ellers for all their guidance throughout all of this. They're a big part of these and how successful they've been too.
Yeah, we've got a great team. There's no question about that. On that point, I'd like to see if anyone is willing to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you for joining us. I am going to call this meeting at 4:08.
We actually have to vote on that.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
My apologies. Got so excited about that. So move. Can I have a vote to adjourn? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? There it is. So I call the meeting of the Joint Review Board, June 22nd, 2021, closed as of 4:18. Thanks, everyone.